We live in a twilight world. Let's do another quick recording. So this guy here cracked up. I've hidden his, his @name over on Twitter because maybe he doesn't want to be looked up. So maybe he does. I don't know. I didn't really ask him. But either way, just in case, I covered his name. But he or she or it says, yeah, they seem to be destroying the UK as well. I suppose City of London will still be filthy rich while London itself sinks into despair. And this was a response to something I said. And it was this. I haven't seen or heard the term yet. Russia's 9/11. Difference is, Putin, the actor, is handling this with authority and professionalism. Unlike Bush, the actor. Now watch this drive clown-esque performance. And this is the main part here. In my opinion, when World War III is over, Russia will replace the USA as the British Empire's flagship nation. So obviously this guy, girl or it replied to that with this. And I'm assuming they're new to my work because I just want to be clear, okay? When I talk about the British Empire, it has nothing to do with the British people that live on the British Isles, okay? If anything, yeah, the Britons, the British people, the English, the Scottish, the Welsh, and, some Irish that might want to include themselves in that are the biggest victims of all of the British Empire, okay? Hang on, let me just have a swig of my drink. Wet my whistle. Yeah, the British Empire has nothing to do with British people themselves. If anything, the British Empire's biggest threat, biggest worry is the Britons finally, getting their shit together and storming the City of London itself. Obviously, the secret unknowns that are running up the HQ of the City of London, we don't even know if they're human or not. And I assume they are somewhere underneath London, more than sitting around above it in fancy buildings and that. I assume some of them fancy buildings have, gateways to the underworld or something. I don't know. The City of London is only the HQ when it comes to like this realm in regards to the human experience here on this realm. War, economy, money, bread, circuses, all of that shit, politics, geographic disruption, national conflict, racial tension. It's only on that level that the City of London is the HQ. Above and below, who the fuck knows? And it's for that, that's kind of hard to focus on, and we can never really clarify that kind of shit. So yeah. And by the way, this is the prime meridian line, which is the 0 point is in Greenwich in London. So London won the battle for time. Paris won the battle for distance. Yeah. When it started to become a one world system and everything had to be kind of, calibrated to a 0 point, London won the battle for time. Meaning, right now, whatever it says on your clock, on your wrist or on your smartphone or your alarm clock, is either plus or minus of London. London controls your reality regarding time. Yeah, the French, Paris was given the constellation of distance, meaning the metric system, meaning all throughout kind of engineering and science, most people use the metric system. Yeah, so that was their constellation prize. And this is based on the reason London won is because it's based on maritime navigation, okay? Most of the maritime traffic, commerce and international trade from all around the world was calibrating using London as their kind of 0 point. Yeah. So even when the overt British Empire started to, started to shut down this overt operation, it still kind of remained within this reality of time. And I'm not going to get into it in this video, but, you know, regarding Russia's 9/11, you know, the Moscow massacre that happened a couple of days ago, you're seeing that every Tom, Dick and Harry and their dog is talking about Tenet, the film Tenet, the opening scene in the Opera House, and the similarities to this theatre shooting business. And yeah, you know, a lot of the truthers are just putting the videos side by side and going, look, predictive programming, but it's more than that. You know, I'm putting it out there, and I've been putting this out there for a long time. You know, this Tenet Russia thing is obviously a bit of a Nostradamus moment for me, which is, you know, something I've been talking about for a long time, has now appeared in the physical reality, which is very freaky, really, because this isn't the first time I've done it. You know, it has to do with Tenet. Tenet, of course, being 10 and 10, converged together, which is, of course, 10 and 10, X and X, the double cross, and so on and so on. And I put it out there that the double cross are time travelers and that Tenet is real. The Tenet kind of philosophy of this ability to move backward and forward through time is real. And if you're going to move backward and forward through time, this would be your center point. Forward and backwards. And it'd be interesting what the flat earthers have to say on this, because regarding time moving forward and backwards, I guess it would work even better on a flat plane with no the stationary, right? As opposed to the ball spinning around in a clockwise direction, or anti-clockwise. I can't remember which way the Earth spins, but you know what I'm saying. So yeah, I'm not going to go into it today, but this is deep stuff, man. There's a reason that London is a 0 point, and it has to do with time travel, in my opinion. Like the ability to move backwards and forwards through time to manipulate world stage events. Yeah, it's all theatre, but there's deeper woo here. There's deeper levels of what's going on here. You know, in the film Tenet, they do what's called a temporal pincer movement, where a red team and a blue team both attack a situation, one moving forward in time, one moving backwards in time, guaranteeing success. Because whatever the team moving forward in time fuck up, the team moving backwards in time can then go and edit and stuff. You can essentially edit a moment in time if you're attacking it omnidirectionally. And that's why I speculate, you know, the secret unknowns sitting underneath the city of London are probably what we call jinn. Yeah? Jinn being very similar to the archons, what the Gnostics call the archons. I guess what the Abrahamics would call the demons. But I prefer the term jinn because jinn predates the Abrahamic religion. So the problem is when you go near terms that are associated with the Abrahamic religions, then you get all the Christians and Muslims and Jews getting involved, and it all becomes about that. But yeah, man, the jinn predate all of that. The jinn, of course, are a scorching flame, a smokeless fire. That's how they're described. Humans are obviously mud and clay. Angels are pure light. The jinn are, yeah, a scorching desert wind, which we would now, I guess, call plasma. And it's said what the jinns can do is travel backwards and forwards through time. They can jump into different dimensions. They have a lot of abilities that we would call supernatural. But here's the thing. The jinn cannot create. The one things us humans have regarding powers that are better than the jinn is that we can create stuff. From our minds, we can create it into the physical. The jinn can't do that. The jinn just do what they do. But once we create something, the jinn can then copy it. So this is the problem. When we're speaking stuff into existence, we're also giving it to the jinn. Now, just to be clear about the jinn, not all jinn are bad. In fact, the vast majority of jinn, according to the mythology, have gone off to their new world. Because this world used to belong to the jinn. The gods came along and said, okay, jinn, your time is up. This world is now going to be for the humans. And most of them are happy to go. They're doing what their creators told them to do. But there's a bunch of jinn, what some people call the vengeful jinn or the rebel jinn, which would kind of be very similar to the fallen angels in the Bible, yeah, and they've got an issue with us beings of mud and clay, the humans. They've got an issue. They don't like the idea of being pushed out, and they're here to cause problems for humans. Also, in the mythology, when the Quran starts to come around and stuff like that, it says that God deliberately put or kept a small number of jinn here with the purpose of testing the desires and weaknesses of man. Yeah? So they're just doing their jobs. They're just testing the desires and weaknesses of men. I guess as a way to see if your soul is ready or not to go off into maybe a higher existence of living in the next incarnation of your journey. Perhaps, maybe. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. This is all just theory. So yeah, anyway, back to what I was originally talking about. Just to be clear to everyone that's new to my work, the British Empire has nothing to do with British people. Yeah? I don't want people, because I think that's where a lot of people dislike the term the British Empire, and they have a knee-jerk reaction because they assume it means that somehow British people are somehow more elite than everyone else. No. Trust me. The British people, the Britons, have had it the worst out of everyone. They've been drafted into the most amount of wars. They've been kept in the poverty. Even when British Empire was, like I said, at its most overt, its most out in the open, back in, 17th century and so on, Britain was the poorest place in Europe. And it still is today. The poorest places in Europe today still remain in Britain. And even that fucker Tony Blair, the reason that head vampire Tony Blair was put in is because he was there to radically modernize Britain, because Britain had a bit of a problem regarding what they called the English disease. Yeah, within England there was a lot of football hooliganism, and a lot of just violence on the street. Now, their worry was that one day all of these thugs, hooligans, and people that just like fighting recreationally would somehow get their shit together and be like an insurrection army and perhaps go and besiege the city of London. So Tony Blair was brought in, and he made sure that Britain moved up from being ridiculously poor to a little bit more middle class for everyone. A little bit more bread and circus, because essentially people were so poor in Britain that going out and fighting on a weekend was quite a fun thing to do. And you understand how that's problematic for the plutocrats of Britain, right? Because it's essentially a ready-to-go insurrection army that if they suddenly, got their shit together, they'd be a very powerful force. So yeah, Tony Blair came in with more bread and circus. There was a whole massive kind of investment into Britain, into the redevelopment of living. Like even like now, you look everywhere, everything that's quite modern-ish. All these ghetto council estates, these things that would, that even made a Soviet Union, USSR kind of commie blocks look good. They've all kind of been deleted. And now it's all the even though they are still council estates to house the poor, they're very colourful and shiny, and of course we have a very proactive socialism here in the UK. And if you're out of work, man, you make a phone call, they'll make sure you get 600 quid put into your bank account every month, because they don't want you to become a thug that becomes a problem. They want to appease you. They want to keep you, busy on the bread and circus. They will always want to give you money to be watching Netflix and eating your McDonald's, as opposed to planning an insurrection and a revolt and so on and so on. And of course, a lot of the stuff that's been going on in Britain from World War II up until now is so successful that you're seeing it around the world in a lot of other countries, right? A lot of what's going on in America now with the whole immigration thing, the destruction of the kind of economy, Yeah, that's obviously been going on, being used on the British people for a long time. And I imagine it's happening in Canada, Australia, as well, all of these countries, right? It's all about the porridge, yeah? The Goldilocks porridge. They don't want to keep it too cold. They don't want it too hot. They want the porridge to be just right, where they keep the people appeased. Not so pissed off that they take action, but you're never allowed to be, in a free market capitalism system where you can become rich off your own kind of hard work. They want to keep you just in that space where you're kind of neither here nor there, and appeased, and submissive and all that kind of shit. Anyway,